be a meter working for the zone. How about better? Goodness, didn't know. Feel like I'm really working for the zone. Your dad, me, ruled our world. Wanna be a meter working for the zone. How about better? Goodness, didn't know. Happened to any dreams that could have dismissed cartoon.
I've briefly mentioned the Epic Games Store and my opinions on it against, specifically with the competition against Steam and Origin and all that, and just the general practices that Epic Games has been using. But it seems like there are a lot of people who don't really get why so many PC gamers were upset with this decision. And I wasn't really going to make a video like this until I saw this video by a channel called One Up Chuck, and I felt responding to this video would be a good way to kind of get my opinions on the matter out there while also giving you guys that classic Joe from Seattle response video style. That's not even my style of content, but anyways. So let's dive into this atrocity of a video while also maybe giving you a little bit of insight as to why the whole Epic Games versus Steam debacle is kind of a big deal in the world of PC gaming.
So let's talk about the Epic Games Store and why PC gamers are definitely overreacting to the Epic Games Store popping up, having all these games that are exclusive to the Epic Games Store, and you have a lot of PC gamers that are very, very unhappy with this.
That's true. When the Epic Games Store was first announced, I think it's safe to say that most of us were pretty excited to see where it would go. It's always good for a company like Steam to have some competition. Steam as a service and as a platform, Steam is very, very good. It's very feature complete. There's a whole bunch of choices. There's lots of games. There's an online economy with in-game items that you can sell and buy, and it's just a very, very feature complete and accessible platform that pretty much every PC gamer loves because of the accessibility, because of the amount of choices you have, because of user reviews, and it's a great platform. But that's not to say it's perfect. There are a lot of problems with Steam, and the main reason people were excited about the Epic Games Store was because it seemed like it would put a fire under Steam to really fix these problems, and also at the time the Epic Games Store looked like it was going to be, at minimum, the same kind of feature-complete service, which definitely didn't turn out to be the case. The Epic Games Store is lacking so many basic features. There's no user reviews, the games are overpriced, and then that's not even getting into the whole ugh of Tencent and their data mining and all the spyware that comes with it. But I'm not really the kind of person to get into that kind of thing. You should probably go somewhere else to learn the specifics of that, but the long story short version is Epic's looking through your shit if you have their store installed.
Saying that it's anti-consumer,
it is anti-consumer. Epic Games is literally buying out AAA titles to force them onto an objectively inferior platform, when they literally said this was the opposite of what they were going to do when they first opened the store. When Epic first made their announcements of the store, they said they wanted to create more competition on the PC platform. They said they wanted to give more power to developers, create more options for PC gamers. But then, ever since then, they've been doing everything in their power to completely destroy that. Because they're buying exclusives, they're literally taking games off of Steam to force them onto their own platform. And like I said, there are so many problems with the Epic Store, but we'll get into that later.
It's not right. They should just have the game on Steam, or at the very least, if they're going to have the game on Epic Games Store, at least let us know that it's going to be on there, instead of what they did with Metro Exodus, where they just randomly pulled it from Steam and said, oh no, we're on Epic Games Store.
Again, the devs didn't randomly pull it from Steam. Epic randomly pulled it from Steam because they bought it out. They forced the developers and the publisher's hand there. They knew that people weren't going to come to their platform organically because the platform is not that good. So they took very popular releases and literally bought them out to make them exclusives to the Epic Store.
That I can understand why people are unhappy with, because it's kind of like you expect it to be on Steam, but now it's on Epic Games Store. But if these PC gamers are all about pro-consumerism and all that kind of stuff, you get a $10 discount out of the whole deal.
Do you, though? Because if you go through the Epic Games Store, it is insanely overpriced. The Division 2 is still $60. Metro Exodus, single-player game, it's still $50. Vampire, a single-player game from a year ago, it's $50. Far Cry Primal, single-player game from February of 2016, it's still $50. Ghost Recon Wildlands, that's still $50. Watch Dogs 2 is still $60. The Epic Game Store is insanely overpriced.
If it was on Steam, you would have had to pay $60 because Steam takes a much larger cut than Epic Game Store does.
Yeah, I don't know where you're getting this idea that Metro would have been $60 on Steam. Maybe it was $60 when it was listed at first. I just don't remember. But I mean, come on. I think we all know that PC games, especially single-player PC games, they drop in price pretty quickly, especially on Steam. Here, I'll put my money where my mouth is. Metro Exodus, brand new from Best Buy, a physical copy on console, is $50. And you can find keys for $20, $12. I can get Far Cry Primal from GameStop for $20. I can get Ghost Recon Wildlands for $25. Epic Game Store is overpriced. All the games I've named are either cheaper or the same price from other services. You're not saving any money from Epic Games. I don't know where you got that idea from. Also, as of the time that I'm recording this video, Far Cry Primal is literally $10 on Steam. When's the last time you saw a AAA game go that much on sale on Epic Games? Sales happen far more frequently on Steam than they do on Epic. I don't even remember the last time I saw an Epic sale.
I mean, the whole point of Epic Game Store and Discord existing is to compete with Steam, and by competing with Steam, in order to do that, they take a much lower percentage than Valve does.
Yeah, and you would think that with that much smaller cut, developers would come to them naturally, huh? It's almost like there are blatant problems with the store and the launcher itself that developers don't want to naturally go there. It's almost like Epic knows they have to bribe developers and publishers to putting their games on their platform.
So in this case, you're saving $10 on a brand new game, and you find some way to complain and not be happy about it.
Again, I don't know where you're getting this whole $10 thing. Maybe the game was $60 on Steam, and then now it's $50 on Epic. But that still doesn't change the price that the game is overpriced as fuck on Epic Store, and pretty much all of Epic Store's games are overpriced as fuck.
That whole Metro Exodus controversy, I have to say, was way overblown.
No, it was not way overblown. A game was put on Steam. They were taking pre-orders for months and months and months on Steam, and then just a couple weeks before launch, it was randomly pulled and bought out by Epic. It was not blown out of proportion. This was a blatantly anti-consumer move done by Epic, and if people hadn't spoken out about it, nothing would have been done. And that's the part that scares me the most. People did speak out about it. There was a huge controversy about it, and nothing has changed. Just a couple days ago, fucking Outer Worlds was confirmed to be an Epic Store exclusive. And now we have companies like CD Projekt Red going out of their way to assure people that they won't be on Epic. Metro Exodus, the whole Metro Exodus thing was not blown out of proportion. In fact, I don't think it was talked about enough, because clearly Epic hasn't gotten the message.
I understand some people aren't happy about the way they did it specifically, but you did get a few days warning, and they are honoring all Steam purchases, so at the end of the day, it's really not that big of a deal. Maybe they should have given a little bit of a longer notice, because like I said, it was just a few days before they just pulled it off of Steam that they announced that they were going to Epic Game Store. But at the end of the day, you guys are all pro-consumer and everything. You guys advocate for pro-consumer things.
Yes, that's why we are against the Epic Game Store.
Well, you get $10 off your game.
No, we don't.
Isn't cheaper games something you guys always strive for?
Yes, but Epic Game Store doesn't give you cheaper games. I still don't know where you got that, because literally all you have to do to disprove what you're saying is open the store and look at it.
So, what's the problem here? You guys like it when games are cheaper. You guys say that games are way too expensive. Well, this seems like you guys should be happy about this, but no. You find some way to not be. And not for nothing, but why do you need Steam?
I'm not even going to answer that. I feel like this should be the most obvious thing ever. Take all of the hundreds and thousands of games on Steam, especially the indie games that are only on Steam. Take all the functionality, take all the online economy, take all the online items, take the key market. You really want to say, why do we need Steam? Is that really a discussion you want to have?
I understand Steam has a lot of features. I'm not trying to say that Steam is like obsolete or anything like that. But rather I'm trying to ask, why is Steam so important that every single game must be on Steam.
Every single game doesn't have to be on Steam. There are very successful games on other platforms. Overwatch and World of Warcraft and StarCraft are all on the Blizzard launcher. All of EA's games are on Origin. You even have games like League of Legends. League of Legends is one of the biggest games in the world. That game's not on any launcher. You just download it from Riot's website. Then you have all the indie games that are just downloaded from websites. You have emulators that are just downloaded from random web. Like, we're not saying the game has to be on Steam. New PC games don't have to be on Steam. But if a new AAA game is going to be released on the PC through digital distribution, we would prefer it be released through the most feature complete and through the most tried and true launcher, which is Steam.
You do realize that you could just, add non-Steam games to your library. If you're really concerned about just having everything in one place, being able to talk to your friends, Steam will launch most of these games for you. Sure, you won't have achievements and everything, but the in-game overlay you'll be able to have, and you'll be able to have some type of Steam integration with the game. I do not have any problem whatsoever with having all these different launchers on my computer. I know most people are, maybe not most people because the money talks, and the money shows. You look at what Ubisoft's doing with Uplay, or more importantly, what EA's doing with Origin, and even Battle.net and all these other, it's not hurting their sales at all, not having the game on Steam.
Yeah, because these are very big games with very big followings on launchers that are way more complete and way more functional. Have you even used the Epic launcher? And while Origin and Battle.net may not be as feature complete as Steam, they're definitely more feature complete and more functional and more convenient than Epic.
And if it did, they could easily make up that loss by the amount of money that they make without having to pay Valve. What do they need Valve for?
To quickly reach the largest amount of PC gamers as possible. Globally, the PC is the biggest platform for gaming, and Steam is by far the biggest digital distribution service on the platform. So yeah, if you want your game to go to the most people possible, you put it on Steam.
Ubisoft puts their games on Steam. Well, not anymore. They put it on Epic Game Store, and that's another funny thing. They decide we're putting Division 2 on Epic Game Store. It's not going to be on Steam. And they just announced they received more pre-orders for the Division 2, which is exclusively on Epic Game Store, and it's also on Uplay. But Division 1 was on Steam and Uplay, and Division 2 has more pre-orders on PC.
Yeah, that's because the Division 1 was a flop. It sold well initially, but due to poor reviews and word of mouth from gamers, it hit the bargain bin pretty quickly. The Division 1 launched in a terrible state that was a huge disappointment to a lot of people, but then after updates and a few years of building the player base back up, the Division's reputation was much, much better. And the game still has a solid player base today. That's why when the Division 2 came out, it was obviously much more hyped up and anticipated than the first. Because Ubisoft had proved that they knew how to do that concept correctly now. Comparing the sales of the Division 1 to the pre-orders of Division 2 is not a very smart thing to do, especially since the PC economy and the digital distribution economy has changed so much since the first game came out.
Than Division 1. So to those of you who are upset, outraged, angry, any type of negative feeling towards games being on Epic Game Store or these companies having their own launchers like Battle.net, Origin, BethesdaNet.
BethesdaNet. What a mighty and glorious piece of technology the Bethesda launcher is. I hope someday I'll be just as productive and successful as the Bethesda launcher.
Microsoft Store. My question for you is, why the hell should they listen to you?
Because we're the consumers. Why the hell should they listen to consumers? Why the hell should we listen to you?
For one thing, a lot of people who complain on the internet are just going to buy the game anyway. And even for those of you who don't, they're still going to make their money back by a lot.
You don't know that.
Because they don't have to share their money with Valve. That 20-25% cut that Valve gets off of the games, that's eliminated now. They get... With EA Origin, they get...
The cut is not eliminated. The cut is just reduced. But if the game sells more on Steam, they're still making a bigger profit off of a smaller cut. You know how numbers work, right? A lot of smaller numbers is still going to be more than a few big numbers.
All the profits. With Fortnite, Epic Games gets all the profit.
Yeah, that's because Epic made Fortnite. You were talking about revenue share, but now you're talking about Epic putting their own games on Epic Launcher. You changed topics because I think even you don't have much of a case to make here.
And you could say that's greedy if you want, sure, but
why would it be greedy for a company to get all the money from a game that they made? That's not greedy. That's just how the market works. If you make a game, yeah, you should get money from it. Nobody's arguing that.
Again, I don't know necessarily if it's greedy or if it's just good business, if it's smart business. Because if they don't need Valve, why should they use Valve? You know what I'm saying?
Okay, you went from other companies using Epic Launcher to Epic using Steam, which are two very different conversations.
Like, why should they put their games on Steam if they don't need Steam to succeed?
Epic has one game right now. Like, I'm just throwing that out there. Epic has Fortnite, and that's it. I know they have Unreal, but, like, come on. If we're being real, Epic has one game.
It's kind of stupid. PC gaming is this open ecosystem. You PC gamers brag about how open and free PC gaming is. Well, this is one of those, I guess you could say, downsides of that, even though I don't really see a big deal out of it.
So you admit that it's a downside that this is happening. You admit that this is negative, that this is happening, but you're still taking issue with it?
But a lot of you people do. Well, a lot of these same people brag about how open and free PC gaming is. Well,
yeah, and those are the same people that are upset with Epic for completely destroying that, or attempting to completely destroy that. This whole Epic Game Store is going to crash and burn, mark my words. Unless they make some serious changes, Epic Game Store is absolutely going to fail. I give it 3 years tops.
it being open and free also allows for more companies to get involved in the PC gaming ecosystem than just Valve.
Epic is not getting more companies involved, they're buying companies out. You're completely missing that part of the conversation.
I mean, Valve used to make their own games. Now they just sit on piles and piles of cash.
Excuse me, they also make hats nowadays, thank you very much.
So the very worst thing that's going to happen out of Epic Game Store existing and actually competing with Steam and having real legitimate competitors to Steam, because Origin and Microsoft Store, Battle.net, you can't call them competitors to Steam. They mostly just release their own first-party titles on their store, and when it comes to third-party support, Steam is still king.
Exactly. That's why people are upset. There's nothing wrong with the publisher or developer selling their games on their own service. Yeah, it's kind of annoying to have a bunch of launchers, but, keep a fucking notepad with your passwords and get over it. Nobody was upset with Epic having, Paragon and Fortnite and Unreal on their own launcher. People were upset with Epic buying out third-party games to make them exclusive on a platform where exclusivity is not supposed to be a thing. They're attempting to create exclusivity in what is supposed to be an open marketplace.
But when Epic Game Store and Discord are starting to try to really compete with Steam, that's a great thing, because at the very worst, maybe Valve will actually try to be more competitive.
Actually, if anything, I think Epic Games needs to realize what they need to do in order to keep up with Steam. Because clearly buying out other developers and buying out third-party games, that's not gonna do it. Steam has a huge leg up over Epic right now. And you look at the responses on publishers and developers revealing that their games are going to be on the Epic Store, people are not happy with it. Epic needs to wake up. Epic thinks that they can just buy out a whole bunch of games, put them on a platform, and then that's just the end of it. They're completely glossing over all of the features that Steam has that they don't, and the reasons why people like Steam instead of Epic. Like I said, they're attempting to create exclusivity in a market where there was none.
And yes, Epic Games signing exclusivity deals, you're like, that's not real competition, that's that's not fair. Well, look at every industry that has competition in it. They all use exclusive content to attract customers to their platform over the other, because if they just have the same stuff, then what's the point of using their service over your service?
This is something that I've always taken issue with console fanboys. Console fanboys say, oh, PlayStation needs exclusives to go PlayStation, Xbox needs exclusives to go Xbox. When exclusivity is just a blatantly anti-consumer thing. Locking games to your system is really just a sign that your system can't stand on its own. If the PS4 and the Xbox One all had the same games, people would still be choosing between them based on things like hardware, like online capabilities, like what you get for those online memberships, what perks you get from those things. If the games are the same, there's still competition. And that's what the PC was all about, until Epic came along and they started shitting on that.
It's just, it doesn't work without exclusive content. Exclusive content is the driving force behind competition. If Hulu and Netflix just had the same shows, if Sony and Microsoft just had the same games on all their consoles, then there would be no point in multiple consoles existing.
If Sony and Microsoft weren't holding games hostage, then they would be forced to innovate. They would be forced to be more pro-consumer. They would be forced to introduce better hardware, introduce better perks for their customers, better customer service, better online support, better online capabilities. Holding games hostage to a certain platform is just the laziest way of avoiding actual competition. Because I can promise you, if Metro Exodus came out on the Epic Store and it came out on Steam, Epic would not be the bigger seller. Because then it would just go back to what I said. Steam has more functionality. Steam has more features. Steam has more perks for the customer. Epic knows they can't compete with Steam head on, so they have to buy out third-party titles.
And I am a big critic of those who are anti-exclusive games, because these tend to be people who don't understand basic economics, who don't understand the industry.
Friendly reminder that 1UP Chuck here is now telling us that we don't understand economics.
And how it works. And that's not meant as like some kind of an insult, it's just how it is. If you honestly think that the industry would be better off without exclusive content, what PC, console, or otherwise, or any industry, movie industry, TV industry, music, if you honestly think that competition can exist without exclusive content, then you simply do not understand basic economics. And that's what it boils down to.
This man did no research, is missing entire chunks of the opposing side of his arguments, and he's now going to tell us that if we oppose him, we don't understand economics. Okay. Tell me more, I guess. Enlighten me.
And that's one thing I'm well known for.
1UP Chuck. Well known for... I don't think we want to really get into what 1UP Chuck is actually known for. Those of you who have watched Rags at all, remember Mr. NoobTube Gamer? This is him. 1UP Chuck is not known for knowing economics or knowing the industry. You are known for being made a fool of because you say dumb things and people call you out on it.
When it comes to my advocacy for exclusive games and why they're great for the economy, why they're great for the gaming industry. And it's really no different with PC. It's actually even better for PC gamers because it's pretty much a win-win situation if you're on PC.
How is it a win-win situation that if I want to play Metro Exodus, I have to buy it on an inferior platform that looks through my shit and charges me more money than I should have to pay? How is that a win-win?
If you're on consoles, and let's say you buy the PlayStation 5 at launch when it comes out,
which would be a very unwise thing to do. You should never buy a console at launch.
And you decide, I'm not going to get the Xbox, I just want the PS5. You might get the new Last of Us game. Let's say you get a new Little Big Planet game, and I'm just throwing random games out there, like known exclusives that Sony comes out with.
That must be awkward.
Let's say they make a new Uncharted game down the line, and you get access to all those games, Spider-Man 2, Insomniac games.
Hashtag not my Spider-Man 2.
You'd get access to all these games, but then by not having an Xbox console, you would not be able to play the new Halo game. You would not be able to play the new Gears of War game. You would not be able to play all these other games that are exclusive to the Xbox console.
Exactly. See, exclusives suck. Everyone should be able to play every game. Games should be on every platform. I really do believe that. And I believe the platforms should sell themselves based on features, based on hardware, based on their accessibility. If the games were on every platform, it would force these console developers to get more consumer friendly, to draw people to their side.
So when it comes to exclusive content on consoles, it's a little bit more... a little bit more iffy because the price of entry is very, very, very high. If you want to buy a console just to play one game.
Which is an extremely foolish thing to do, by the way. You should never buy a console just for one game. I'm usually someone who stays away out of other people's buying decisions, but if you're someone who doesn't like exclusivity, or you think exclusives are lame, or you think big name publishers and AAA publishers are greedy, but you still buy consoles just for a game or two, you're part of the problem.
Let's say you really just want to play The Last of Us. You don't really care about the other games that are out exclusively on the PlayStation. Yeah, you're not really into Spider-Man. You don't really care about superheroes. But you're into like that post-apocalyptic zombie type thing.
A type of game that is fucking everywhere nowadays.
So you want to get the new Last of Us or Days Gone or whatever game. You'd be spending presumably $400 to $500 on a new console. We still don't know quite how much the console's going to cost. But assuming PSVR is included, it's going to land you at least $500, but they might sell a bundle that's $400. So let's just say $400 just to be generous. It might even be more than that.
It is absolutely going to be more than that. There is no way the PS5 launches for less than $400. There's no way the PS5 launches with VR included for less than $400. Come on.
Let's just say $400. $60 for that new game, so it's $460. And then if you want to play the game online with your friends, that's another $60.
A completely arbitrary and unnecessary fee to pay, by the way. Which, by the way, Microsoft, back whenever you guys started doing Xbox Live, fuck you. Because before that, online gaming on console was free. Thanks a lot. You see, that's the biggest problem with exclusivity, though. That right there, you're just brushing over it without even realizing what you're saying. Paying for online play on consoles is a completely unnecessary fee. In fact, Sony themselves even proved that it was an unnecessary fee because on the PS3 it was free. On the Wii it was free. On the Wii U it was free. Consoles didn't start charging for online until the Xbox started, until Microsoft was charging people, and the other companies looked at it and were like, holy shit, people will actually pay for this stuff. We should charge them too. You don't even realize what you're saying. Paying for online is anti-consumer in itself. And you're trying to use this as a point in defense of what Epic Games is doing somehow?
So you're going to be spending over $600, almost $600, on just one game that you want to play.
Yeah, that's why you don't buy games on launch day and why you don't buy consoles on launch day. You wait for user reviews of both, and you usually wait for a price drop as well, because we all know how the gaming economy works. A game comes out, then like a week or two later, it gets a price drop. I wonder what the user reviews on the Epic Games Store are like. Oh.
Because you'd be spending about $400 on the console, then it'd be $460 buying the new game, and then it'd be about $520. So it'd be a little bit over $500, but let's say if the console actually cost $500, then it would be well over $600.
This is such a depressing list of things that you're naming out. Like that's not really anything to do with the topic at hand, but holy shit. $600 for a console and a game? God damn it. I hate this industry sometimes.
Which is crazy to some people. And I understand why people are against console exclusives, but PC exclusives, like I'm not talking about exclusive games that are only on the PC. I mean exclusive content that's only on one store and not the other. It's really not a big deal at all.
In comparison to what happens on the consoles, is it a big deal? No. But that's not what people are upset about. People are upset about the blatant anti-consumer practices. The fact that one of the biggest reasons why people love the PC and why the term PC Master Race has become just a normal thing in conversation, and why it's a Reddit group about pro-consumer choices on the PC and sharing in our love of this hobby. Part of the reason why that's even started is because the PC is an open marketplace that allows you to be more pro-consumer, that allows you to make smart buying decisions. When a big money-hungry company comes into this open marketplace and tries to close it in really shady ways with objectively inferior products for more money and buying out third-party games that we would have bought otherwise, yeah, people are going to be pissed off about that. It's not really fair to compare that to the console marketplace because, again, stuff like this doesn't exist on consoles. The consoles are a ridiculously closed marketplace. It just goes to show how little you actually understand this.
The worst thing you have to do is download another launcher. Oh my god, I hate having more than one launcher on my PC.
Again, that's a completely different conversation. The annoyance of having multiple launchers has nothing to do with people's frustrations towards Epic Games specifically. People obviously have no problem with multiple launchers. Steam has over 90 million active users, and Origin and Blizzard are still doing completely fine on the PC. People obviously don't care about having more than one launcher. People do care about an open marketplace being shat on by a company who just wants more money.
It's just an inconvenience. I don't like it. Wah. It all sounds like entitlement to me, because literally that's the only thing you have to deal with. Oh,
remember how this guy said he understood economics, but now he's boiling it down to entitlement? Mr. NoobTube Gamer, everyone.
I have to create an Epic Games account. I have to download the Epic Games launcher. Oh my god, my life is over. But you can still play the game with ease.
You're approaching this from the mindset of someone who has been just going with the flow of console gaming and of the AAA gaming marketplace for so long. Newsflash, the only reason AAA gaming and console gaming, the only reason that economy got to be so fucking greedy was because people sat there and took it for like a decade. If people didn't sit back and just keep accepting it on the console side of things, do you think there would still be paid multiplayer? Do you think there would still be an abundance of loot boxes? Do you think AAA games would still regularly be released unfinished with a bunch of DLC and microtransactions running at sub 1080p 60? Or even sub 1080p 30 in a lot of cases? If gamers hadn't been so complacent during the 7th console generation, do you think the 8th console generation would have been as depressing as it is? That's the difference between the console marketplace and the PC marketplace. The console marketplace has kind of just been letting this shit happen, while the PC marketplace has been watching the console marketplace, and we've been watching all these things happen to it. And we've been saying to ourselves, good God, I don't want that over here. Thank God that's not over here. But now companies like Epic are starting to see how much money there is to be made in a system like that, and they're trying to force it over here. And rather than just sit there and take it and let it get bad like you guys did, and like admittedly I did, because I used to be a console gamer too. I used to just let this shit happen. I didn't see anything wrong with it. I didn't see a better alternative. But now I do. Now I understand these things. PC gamers are tired of AAA greed being shoved into a marketplace that we love. And the Epic Game Store is just another example of a company who's just trying to milk us dry. And we're not going to have it. We're not going to sit back like the console marketplace did. We're not going to take it and just shrug our shoulders and say, oh, well, I'll just install another launcher. Oh, well, I'll just pay for these overpriced games with limited features. Oh, well, I'll just continue giving money to this company who's doing these things out of sheer greed. Oh, well, I'll just keep inadvertently supporting these companies trying to destroy an open market. Oh, well.
You don't have to pay a subscription. You don't have to pay for brand new hardware. You already have the hardware. You just need to download the client, and that's it. So I honestly believe that this is just not a big issue.
Because you don't understand. And because you've been a console player for so long. And look, I see your PC gameplay there. I see your PC gameplay. I'm happy for you, bud. You're moving on. You're moving up a little bit. But you're still approaching this with the console mentality of just, oh, let it happen. It's not a big deal. And that's what Epic is banking on, honestly. Epic is trying to profit off of the people who don't understand these things. I think they just underestimated how many people actually do understand these things.
People are definitely harping on it way too much. And I think it's just ridiculous at this point. I mean, you keep hearing people complaining and complaining and complaining about Steam having actual competition. But what has Valve been doing the past, I don't know, 5 to 10 years?
They've been opening up the indie marketplace to a spot where it's never been bigger. They've been giving gamers more opportunities to share their mind about games, to encourage the open marketplace to grow. And I mean, they've been making a fuck ton of Team Fortress 2 hats. So why don't you put some respect on their name, kiddo?
They've just been sitting on piles and cash. They've had no reason to really do anything competitive. I mean, they have these nice refund policies and all these other kind of things. But
He said he says what has Valve done in the last 5 to 10 years, but then he names something really innovative that Valve did in the last 5 to 10 years, which is refunds on digital purchases. Nice. You sure understand economics.
they're making so much damn money off of all that money that they take in from software sales that they don't really need to do anything else. So they have no reason to make new games. You ever wonder why Valve hasn't made new games since Counter-Strike Go?
Dota 2 came out after Counter-Strike Go, just saying. But aside from that, look, I'm not saying Valve is perfect. Obviously, Valve is not perfect, and their lack of attention to the actual fan base of games is one of the biggest problems with that. But, and while I do partially agree with you that I think it's a little lame how Valve does just kind of sit back and profit off of their past achievements, what else do you want them to do? How about other companies catch up to where they've been? And then maybe they'll get off their pile of cash, like you said. Because right now, Valve has no reason to get off their pile of cash. There's no other launcher and no other digital distribution service as good as Steam. Why should they get off their pile of cash? And I understand that that's kind of the problem with Valve, with Steam. There's plenty of things they could be doing to improve, but they're just not. Because why? Because they have no real reason to, because there's no, real competition. But again, what do you want? What do you want them to do? They have objectively the largest and most feature-complete digital distribution service on the PC. What more do you want from them?
That's why. Because they have literally no incentive to do it. Maybe at the very worst, Valve will actually be forced to be more competitive.
You keep saying that Valve needs to be more competitive. Valve needs to be more competitive, but you haven't actually named anything that Valve needs to do. Makes me wonder why you're even upset about Valve not being competitive. You don't really seem to have any specific things in mind that you want to change.
And by being more competitive, maybe they'll start making games again. Wouldn't that be great?
I don't know about you. I think a lot of people kind of stopped caring about Valve games at this point. And I know that's kind of it kind of ties into a bittersweet thing. Yeah, it sucks that Valve didn't put out Half-Life 3. Yeah, it sucks they didn't put out Left 4 Dead 3, but do you really want those games at this point? Because I think at this point, we know that if they came out, they'd be shit. Valve aren't really game developers anymore. They've stepped away from that part of the marketplace.
Maybe you'll get your Team Fortress 3.
I don't think people really want that. I think people are perfectly fine with Team Fortress 2.
Maybe you'll get your Left 4 Dead 3.
I don't want that. I'm perfectly fine with Left 4 Dead 2 with mods.
That's something you guys always wanted, right?
Not really.
Well, this is probably your best damn chance of getting it right now.
Okay.
When the PC gaming market's becoming more and more and more competitive, and Valve is potentially going to lose more and more market share to these competitors.
I still find it interesting that you're calling what Epic is doing competition.
And when I mean competitors, I mean Epic Games and Discord.
Discord? When the fuck were we talking about Discord? That came out of nowhere.
Because Origin and Uplay, they're not really competitors. Battle.net's not really competitor, like I said.
Oh my god, bud. Are you serious? So, Uplay is not a competitor, but Epic Games is a competitor. Even though Uplay and Epic Games have a lot of the same games. I guess you just understand economics way more than I do, huh?
They're more of just trying to break away from Valve instead of trying to take on Valve. It's a difference, right? What Epic Games is doing and what Discord is doing is they are taking Valve on head on.
No, they're not. They're creating exclusives. They are not taking Valve on head on. If they were taking Valve on head on, they would not be doing this exclusivity thing. They would be letting games be released on Epic and Steam at the same time and see where the public goes. That's what competition is. But you don't understand that because you don't understand economics.
And like I said, I think Discord has the best potential here to really give Steam a run for their money.
I think Discord has a lot of potential. Yeah, I think if any other platform is going to be making a rise soon, I think it's going to be GOG. But yeah, I agree that Discord has potential. Just trying to level the playing field with you, bud, because you've been saying a bunch of dumb shit. So when you say something that's kind of right, I want to at least give you credit.
But who knows? Maybe Epic Games, maybe they could rebrand themselves, not call themselves the Epic Games Store anymore. so they're not directly associated with Fortnite and all that kind of stuff.
Oh, look, you said another dumb thing.
And they just rename it to like something that, and they act more serious. They rename it to something that actually shows that they're serious about it. And it's not just about boosting the Epic Games brand, and it's more about actually competing with Steam. And by also doing that, they have more features like an actual chat, a better friend system, have features that are competitive with Steam and Discord.
Oh, look, 2 features that are absent from Epic but are in Steam in a video where you said that there was no difference between them and that there were just a difference in launchers. Ooh.
Because Discord has features that are very competitive with Steam. Discord's definitely a more modern experience. It's a more social experience than Steam. And that's kind of why I think that Discord has the best shot at dethroning Valve.
I agree with that. Discord is a lot more social than Steam, and yet it's still not really catching on in terms of game publishing and game selling and all that. I really want to see Discord succeed. I think they're really good people, and I really think their platform has potential. But I also find it ironic that you're hoisting the Epic Game Store up on this giant pedestal, but then saying how you think Discord has potential. The reason why Discord hasn't been getting any attention as a game distribution source is because of Epic. Do you not understand that? Epic literally bought their way to the top. And now services like GOG and Discord are just wallowing away again because they don't have the kind of money that Epic does from all those Fortnite emotes.
But ultimately, I think no matter who it is that's competing, competition is always a good thing. You might not like some of the things that they do in order to compete, but overall competition, even indirect competition like Origin, is good.
You said like 2 minutes ago that Origin was not competition. Make up your mind.
For the industry, and is good for the consumer. Not a bad thing. So stop with the brand loyalty. I think it's funny how so many PC gamers talk about, it's so stupid how these console fanboys are loyal to their little plastic boxes. They're loyal to Sony. They're loyal to Microsoft. But you have a good portion of people in the PC community, in the PC master race, that just have blind loyalty to Valve for no good reason.
Again, it's not blind loyalty. All you have to do is look at Origin and Battle.net and see that people are more than happy to play games on other platforms. It has nothing to do with loyalty to Valve, but it has everything to do with Valve being in the spirit of an open marketplace and maintaining the spirit of the open marketplace while Epic is trying to destroy it.
They're a corporation. They don't owe you anything. And, talking about pro-consumer, like I said, even companies like EA, you might not like them, but with them being able to have their own service like Origin, they're able to come out with services like Origin Access because they don't have to share the money with Valve. They reap all the profits.
Fun fact about EA Access that he's talking about, it's on the PC and the Xbox, but it's not on the PS4 because Sony said it wasn't a good value for players. Remember what I was saying about how the console market just kind of sits back and lets anti-consumer things happen?
And you say, that might be a greedy thing. But really, it's a good thing because then now Origin Access exists. They were able to, because they cut off the middleman, they were able to come out with new things and services like this. And they're able to actually make profit off of it. It seems like, they might give away all their games. And they charge such a cheap price, $30 a year. But they're able to make a profit off of that because, again, there's no middlemen. They don't have to share their profits with Valve.
Yeah, but the games on Origin Access aren't exclusive to Origin Access.
And that's why you have Origin Access, and that's why you have $100 a year access to all the new EA games and most of the DLC. So, yeah, I think what's arisen out of this?
Arisen?
What's risen out of this?
There you go.
Is definitely a good thing for consumers.
No, it's not.
And isn't something that people should necessarily complain about. I think this is something that people should embrace instead of resist.
No, people should resist this. If people embrace this, we're going to end up in a lot stickier situations.
But I will agree with you that, let's say, for example, the Bethesda launcher is completely unnecessary. Battle.net's a different thing because it's kind of existed since prior to Steam. They've been doing Battle.net since the 1990s, so you can't say Blizzard should put their games on Steam because they've been doing Battle.net for even longer than Steam's been a thing. And with Microsoft Store, you can't say that's a bad thing because, again, they want a piece of the pie. They're the reason why PC gaming exists in the first place. It's their platform, Windows, and they have the right to release their exclusive games on their own store instead of sharing their profits with Valve.
I really don't want to say this for like the millionth time, but yeah, Microsoft doesn't have to share their profits for their games because it's their games. Nobody's arguing with that.
Valve, they have no reason to have to work with Valve. And you can say the Windows Store sucks, but if it sucks so bad, then get an Xbox One and don't play the Xbox exclusives on PC, I guess.
That sounds like a horrible idea. I am not going to do that.
But I do think Origin's an awesome service. I love Steam. I love Discord.
Okay, this is kind of an ad hominem, but Jesus fucking Christ, you can't aim.
I could use Battle.net, and I think Epic Games Store, while it needs some fine-tuning and some work, I think it's a okay platform. I don't think it's something worth complaining about, especially since it results in lower prices and a lot of good pro-consumer things.
Again, if you think Epic Games Store results in low prices, you're just wrong. And if you think Epic Games Store is pro-consumer, again, you're just wrong. And if you think Epic Games Store just needs fine-tuning and that it's a good platform, it just needs fine-tuning, again, you're wrong. This whole video is just wrong. The top comment of this video is literally, I can describe this video in one word, wrong.
People like to harp on the things like no user reviews and all that.
And he brushes off one of the simplest features as just, it's nothing. Fucking fuck, dude. People complain about Steam having shitty games. It's just like on Epic, you don't even know if a game is shitty or not. The most basic thing they don't have. No user reviews.
But there are plenty of other outlets like Metacritic that you're able to review games on.
Yeah, Metacritic sure is trustworthy.
And it's just not that big of a deal in my opinion. But I do agree Bethesda launcher is total crap, and I might make a separate video on that, but...
Oh, goody, another one.
Anyway, let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. I'm sure some of what I said in this video is a bit controversial, a little distasteful to some people, but...
Yeah, you could say that.
I felt like it needed to be said, because while I do sympathize with people, like, they don't want all these launchers, I do think they kind of go a little bit too far sometimes.
Your aim sucks. I just want to end the video on that.